Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're going to go ahead and start with our April tier list for Star Wars The Old Republic and PvP. As I've been playing through, there have been some overall changes as far as how the game and stuff has been played right now. So we're going to kind of take a look at that, kind of dive into it. First thing we have is Lightning. Currently Lightning is kind of in the okay tier. It is nothing amazing. It does solid damage, but a lot of specs are just frankly better than it right now. So we're going to put Lightning solidly in the B tier. It's the definition of average DPS right now. Next, we have Marksman. Marksman hasn't gone anything. It's still bad. It still just doesn't have defenses. Its damage is just not good. It's just not very good overall. Marksman needs a buff. It needs some survivability. It needs some things looked at. The only thing Marksman really does okay-ish right now is counter some of the melee specs, but even those can kind of get around it. Next, we have Deception. So Deception's actually fallen down a little bit for me. I still think Deception is strong. I just think right now with the classes that people are running, Deception is kind of struggling against some of the higher tier classes. It is very good at the 1v1 situations, and it is very good at pressuring nodes and capturing nodes. But I've seen a lot more team fights right now. There's a lot more 7v7s, big kind of skirmishes, and Deception tends to struggle in those. Next, we have Vengeance. Vengeance is doing very well right now. Currently, Vengeance is strong A tier. It's borderline S tier. It's just kind of getting holding back from the S tier just because of how strong other classes currently are. But it's definitely playable. You can definitely play Vengeance. Next, we have Virulence. Virulence, again, solid A tier. I would put it right behind Deception right now. It does very good damage. Some people are up and down on the spec, but I think overall the spec does very good damage. Has kind of everything you want. It just has a problem where it doesn't compete with the top tier specs. You would definitely take Deception or Vengeance over it right now currently, just because of the defensives though. And Deception's ability to pressure nodes. Next, we have Lethality. Lethality, easy S tier. Lethality is basically just a better Virulence. I don't know why you'd play anything other than Lethality op right now as far as DPS goes. It does everything the other two specs but better. Its defenses are better. Its damage output is higher. It has its AoE abilities. Lethality is just kind of nuts right now. It's definitely S tier. Next, we have Rage. Rage is interesting. Sometimes Rage can pop off, other times it seems very mediocre. So given the fact that sometimes it gets shut down pretty easy and I see it kind of bounce back and forth, I'm going to put it in the B tier. I definitely think it's above Lightning right now. I don't think it's worse than Lightning. I just think it's a very kind of in the middle. It can pop off some games, but still, I would rather see someone play Vengeance right now than Rage. Vengeance is just way better as far as the spec goes. And next, we have Madness. Now, this is going to be a little bit controversial. I think Madness, for whatever reason, has not been performing well this month. I've not really seen it really pop off a lot in games. I think Madness right now is currently in the high A tier. It's probably at the very top of A tier. I don't know if it's just because of the fights and the things that I've been seeing and where Madness just is, it seems like it gets pressured more. It seems like a lot of people are targeting the Madness source a lot more and focusing them down so they really can't get off their damage. They're doing a lot more kiting than actual damage, if that makes sense. So Madness is kind of falling off. It's still strong. I just think there are better classes than Madness currently. Next, we have Pyrotech. Again, Pyrotech is very strong. I'll put Pyrotech right ahead of Virulence right now. With the meta kind of shifting to more of a team fight style, there's been a lot bigger engagements. There's been a lot more tanks and heals and queues currently on Star Force that I've been seeing. Pyrotech is just loving it. It's loving the cleave. So it's definitely getting in the strong A tier. Next, we have Annihilation. Annihilation is going to drop down pretty big for this patch. This kind of update that we're looking at. It's because Annihilation is very good in skirmishes. Annihilation loves like the 2v2s. Annihilation loves the 3v3s. Annihilation loves the 2v1s. Annihilation loves things like that where it can use its heal, it can sustain. It has support behind it. It also loves into the 1v1s. Annihilation is very good in 1v1 situations. But right now, given the fact that Burst is really taking over and its cleave DPS is not as good as other specs, it's kind of dropped down just because it really lacks Burst right now, and it's just kind of like a DPS, so you can still pull numbers with it, but it just isn't as strong as what it used to be. So Annihilation, we're gonna go ahead and put it behind Lightning right now. I think it's still okay DPS. It's just not as good as it used to be. Next we have Fury. Again, the Mara specs have been kind of up and down here lately. I still think Fury is strong. In all honesty, Fury is probably better than Rage. It's probably at the top of B tier. So Fury is still good. It's just the Mara specs are kind of struggling right now, just the way that the games have been playing out. Next, we have Innovative Ordnance. Innovative Ordnance is just, it's struggling. Both the Commando specs seem to be in a bad spot. I don't know what it is. They still have a good defensives and everything like that, but as far as overall just performance-wise, I have not been seeing them pop off at all. I've just been seeing their damage be lackluster, and they're just kind of being, like I said, like a tanky DPS almost, without taunts. It's kind of weird how where the Commando and Merc specs have been performing here lately. Next, we have Engineering. Engineering has been performing solidly, but again, it's still in the, it's probably B tier. Honestly, it probably is better than Annihilation right now. I don't think it's better than Lightning. It has like a good burst. It just again lacks the defensive. So, but with the game being more focused around burst, because more tanks and healers, if you can burst down to DPS where before the healer gets a chance to heal them, that's been kind of the way to win fights right now. So Engineering is pretty okay. Like I said, I don't think it's quite as good as Lightning, because Lightning has more kiting potential. Someone sits on type of Engineering, they pretty much die, but Engineering's burst just puts it in the B tier at this point. Advanced Prototype, easy S. With its burst and the way things are playing right now, it's easy in the S tier. I actually am going to go ahead and move it to the top of S tier. I think Advanced Prototype currently is the best DPS spec in the game. Just with all the utility and everything it provides, its hydraulic overrides, there's the CC that it has, and that's the biggest, that's probably the biggest reason, it's just all the CC that it brings. I think AP is just unmatched as far as DPS goes right now. Next we have Concealment. Concealment's just terrible. I don't know why you would run Concealment over the other two op specs. I just don't understand why you'd run it over anything. Just doesn't even make, I mean, a healer is better. Concealment just doesn't do enough right now. Its burst is just not that great. Why would you run that over something like Lethality? I don't understand Concealment's point in the game right now. It's better than Marksman, I guess. It has stealth, it can pressure nodes, but Concealment is just not that great. Carnage. Carnage is kind of up here with Fury. I think Carnage is a little bit better than Fury right now. Just slightly. You could flip-flop the two. They're back and forth. Again, they're just kind of struggling into the higher tier classes. They're struggling a lot into the upper tier classes right now. So they're kind of in that B kind of mediocre thing. Arsenal, again. Arsenal is a little bit behind IO, Innovative Ordnance. Just something about Mercs or something. I don't know what's been going on here lately, but the damage output has not been there. And they're actually, I've seen a lot of them do a lot less than tanks even at this point. So here lately, I just have not been seeing Mercs and Mandos do that good. I've not been seeing a lot of people play them either. I just think the class just isn't really translating to the way that the fights have been playing out. Hatred, again, Hatred has not been translating either. Is Hatred better than Concealment right now? No. It's definitely not better than the Arsenal or Innovative Ordnance. Hatred might even be in D tier. I really do not like Hatred. I don't think Hatred brings any value currently. I would almost, yeah, I would put Hatred just above Marksman in D tier at this point. Hatred just doesn't do anything. So those are kind of where the DPS specs are sitting. As you can see, there's only really two classes right now considering S tier, as far as OP and AP and Lethality. Other than that, you could make almost anything work. The only specs that I would say is pretty much can't make work at this point is Hatred and Marksman. I just don't think they bring value to any team whatsoever. Either 4s or 8s. I just don't see the point of ever running those two specs. Next, we got to take a look at the tank specs. So in the tank specs, we're going to take a look at Jug, the Immortal tank. It's doing good. It's doing well. It's not anything that's amazing. I would put it right behind Deception currently. It's in the A tier. It's definitely playable, definitely strong. You can definitely run a Immortal tank, got a lot of utility, does a lot of good. It's a lot better if you're solo. If you're by yourself, I would recommend running the Jug tank. It's a lot better for solo play than it is if you're in like a group or anything when you don't have heals. And next we have Shield Tech, absolute S tier. just the durability, its cooldowns, everything that it brings, it still does good damage. The CC, crowd control, I mean, just the ability to interrupt everything, control the battlefield. Shield Tech is just absolute S tier right now, especially if you were grouped with a healer. It is annoying as all get out. They just survive so long and take so much damage to take down. And then we have Darkness. I just not really seen Darkness provide that much benefit either. I don't understand why you'd play Darkness over any of the other two tanks. It's not like terrible, it's not the worst thing ever. It's probably somewhere in the B tier. I mean, you would probably take it over Fury and Carnage. Probably, but that's still questionable. I just don't think Darkness is performing as well as the other two tanks. That's where it comes down to. Just doesn't have that performance. Now, if we kind of look at the healers, we look at Swtor Healer. Swtor Healer's just not been performing well either. I mean, it's probably better than IO. You would probably take it over Annihilation and Engineering. You take it over Lightning, Rage. I don't think you take it over Fury or Carnage though. I mean, Swtor Healer, it's kind of like the okay healer, but I do think it is the worst healer right now currently. Next, we have Operative Healer. Operative Healer is pretty good. It's in the A tier. I don't think any of the healers right now are in like the broken tier. Operative Healer is definitely better here. It's definitely better than Immortal. I think it's better than Vengeance. It's probably right behind Madness as far as what you would take. That's kind of how I look at it. If you could take a class, would you take this class over that one? And I think you would take Madness over Operative Heals right now. I don't think you would take... I think you would take Operative Heals over Vengeance, but I think you would take Madness over Operative Heals. So that's kind of how I look at it. And then finally, we have the Merc Healer. Merc Healer, again, is also pretty strong. It's definitely stronger than Sork right now. I think it's probably right there somewhere in the A tier, right behind Deception as far as what you would take. As far as overall power level, I think this is pretty accurate right now as far as what's going on. Again, it's been changing depending on what team comps and things that people have been running. That's why Madness isn't as high, just because I've seen Madness get pressured out so many games by AP and Lethality where they just can't compete. That's really why I have Madness in the A tier. I just don't think they're as good as AP and Lethality. I think AP and Lethality are just on a different tier right now. Any questions, comments, feel free to put them down below. And as always, see ya.